Because of the disparity in Spirit's hooves, the low-heeled hoof, we're going to put a classic roller on. This bar shoe allows breakover in any direction. It also has a deep fuller to allow for traction. It's quarter clipped so that we can stabilize that shoe on the horse's foot. Defining a bar shoe is easy. The hard part is shaping a bar shoe. It's essential that any shoe we put on is shaped to the hoof, and I see that I need to come out in this corner. And I may also have a problem if I put this on because I'm going to have too much pressure on the frog. So I'm going to alleviate both of those problems at the forge. I want to make sure the point of break over the broad toe is at the point in which he breaks over, which is not straight off of the point of the frog, but lateral off of the outside quarter. I like to find two things that I need to do. One is increase the width of the heel area and also set this bar away from the frog. And I'll put it on the side of my anvil here, hit down there. And this is the width of that frog. I'm going to hit down there. Made two creases in there. And now I'm going to use my hammer and set this down. By doing that, we've given him more distance between the steel and the frog. Spirit has a strong, healthy frog. We're not going to compromise it by cutting more off of it. The alteration I need to make is not in the frog, but in the shoe. It has a flat sole, so I want to make sure that I have the inside width of web knocked down so that I do not create sole pressure. I'm using the round side of the hammer and working around that shoe to knock the inside down. I've also set the clips in at the same angle as the hoof wall. And I'll take the hot set tongs and go to the foot and see if there's further alteration I need to make. When I take that shoe to the hoof, I'm going to make sure that I have the breakover point at the point in which he breaks over. I'm going to pull that shoe back into the hoof, and I'm going to look and make sure I do not have frog contact. I need to pull this heel out just a little bit more. This corner of the shoe is going out just a little more. In order to do that, that point in which I want to come out becomes the point in which I put on the horn. That point is coming out. I'm going to hit beyond. I'll flip my shoe over and hit just before. Make sure that that shoe is level, flat, and take it back to the hoof. I made a point in my trimming procedure to make sure that that foot was flat. In my forging procedure to make sure that the shoe was flat. Now make sure that I'm not resting heavily on that frog. I need to set it down just a little bit more. I'm going to further set down that area that's over the frog just by reducing the thickness. I'm using the round side of my hammer. The added benefit to this is if the horse needs support in the palmar aspect of the foot, by doing this I have increased the width of the web in the palmar aspect of the foot, thus increasing support. Make sure that the shoe is flat, plain, and we'll take it back to the hoof. Making sure that the breakover point of the shoe is at the breakover point of the hoof, which on this horse, this foot, is lateral toe quarter. I'll pull that shoe back on the hoof and set those clips in. So when I'm evaluating this, I want to make sure that I don't have sole pressure here. I've set that down. I want to make sure that there's no pressure on that frog. In fact, there's space between the frog and the bar, the least room to put a business card. Make sure that my clips are set in there where they belong. The nail line of the shoe lines up with the white line of the hoof. And I'm using an Aught Classic roller by Kerckhaert. And I'm using an LX50 nail. These cracks in the sole is just natural exfoliation of the sole tissue, and I'm going to leave that callus on the bottom of his foot. He's going on rough ground, rocky ground. He needs that protection between the sensitive tissues of the foot and what Mother Nature throws at him. When I'm working on him, I'm going to make sure that I have his limb in the natural range of motion. When I put the nail in, I'm looking for the trademark on the inside of the head. That allows the nail to curve out because the other end is beveled. I'm going to put one finger up alongside of the hoof wall, aim for that finger, gently tap the nail in until I can feel it, the tissue that it's in, remove my finger, and finish driving the nail in. Trademark in. Put my finger up alongside the hoof wall, aim for that finger, remove that finger, and drive the nail in. Once that bottoms out, it's not necessary to keep hitting that. I'm going to put 2 nails in. I'm going to set the shoe down, reevaluate the shoe. That way, if there's adjustments to be made, I'm going to make them. If I go ahead and put 8 nails in, chances of me taking it off aren't as good. I'm going to make sure that my fit is appropriate, my bar shoe length is appropriate, the expansion room I have, both inside and outside, is appropriate. It fits the foot that I trimmed. A bar shoe is a great shoe in that it gives support in the back part of the foot. or lower limb. So if a horse has a soft tissue lesion, deep digital flexor tendon, inferior check ligament, navicular problems, impar ligament problems, this floats the heels. It's not allowed to sink into the soil as much, thus reducing elongation of those soft tissues. So there's a lot of issues that this shoe can be helpful for. It can also be helpful for a skeletal lesion on the front part of the limb. So you have some ring bone at the extensor process, the top of the coffin bone, or in the front of the lower limb joints. This will really help out. A bar shoe is not for every horse and not for every condition. You also want to be considerate of the environment that the horse is in. If a horse has a navicular issue and then you've been asked to put a bar shoe on, and that horse is in a 100-acre pasture with 60 other horses in knee-deep mud, that shoe probably won't stay on that long, so may not be the best choice for that horse.